People worship goals as if they are sacred maps to success. They cling to them, speak of them, post them, and measure their worth by their distance from them. Yet goals are cages disguised as compasses. They confine the mind to a single path, forcing one to chase an image rather than master the environment. When you set a goal, you announce to the world, and to yourself, what you expect to happen. You reveal your intent, your direction, and your weakness. A person who exposes their direction becomes predictable, and the predictable can be controlled. Power thrives in unpredictability. It is fluid, not fixed. It moves without form, adjusting to conditions without hesitation. Those who seek power do not tie themselves to one outcome. They understand that circumstances shift, alliances change, and fortune is a fickle ally. To cling to a goal in such a world is to chain yourself to a moving target. Every time the world moves, your goal becomes obsolete, and you remain a step behind. When you delete your goals, you remove the illusion of a finish line. You free yourself from the psychological burden of progress. The ordinary mind is obsessed with tracking advancement, comparing beginnings to ends, counting achievements like a merchant tallying coins. But real strength lies in indifference to such measures. When your focus shifts from outcome to influence, you stop chasing success. You start bending it toward you. The powerful person is not concerned with where they are going, but with how much control they exert wherever they stand. To live without fixed goals does not mean to wander without purpose. It means you operate from a higher principle, directionless strength. This strength is the ability to adapt instantly without emotional resistance. It is to shift strategy mid-movement without hesitation or guilt. Those who cling to goals fear change because it disrupts their path. Those who understand power invite change because it creates openings. They do not need certainty. They create advantage from chaos. A man of goals says, "I must reach this peak." He focuses on one mountain and spends his life climbing it, blind to the other ranges around him. A man of power studies the landscape. He sees that every mountain is conquered by those who understand terrain, not by those who worship summits. He knows that what matters is not the height of the goal, but the control over the ground beneath it. By mastering adaptation, he gains the ability to shift direction whenever opportunity demands it. Goals are emotional anchors. They make you feel safe because they offer structure. But structure is a comfort for those afraid of the void. True strength is found in the void, existing without needing a plan, without needing validation, and without needing to prove movement. The weak crave milestones to feel progress. The strong create momentum through presence alone. They do not ask, "Am I getting closer?" They ask, "Am I in control?" When you depend on goals, you depend on time. You create distance between yourself and power, promising that one day, when the goal is reached, you will be fulfilled. But fulfillment never comes, because the act of chasing trains you to need the chase. You become a perpetual seeker of what you already possess in potential. Power exists only in the present, never in the future. Those who live through goals delay their dominance. Those who live through influence seize it now. Every goal sets a boundary on your imagination. It defines what success must look like and blinds you to all other forms of victory. The one who pursues power refuses to define success so narrowly. For them, success is not an event. It is a state of being. They move with the calm certainty that whatever happens can be shaped to their favor. They do not ask if they are winning. They decide that they will not lose. The pursuit of goals often creates visible effort, and visible effort invites competition. When you announce what you want, others either block it, imitate it, or weaponize it against you. But when you move without stated goals, no one can trace your design. Your actions become enigmatic, your intent unreadable. People will follow you, not because they know your direction, but because they sense your certainty. Influence begins where transparency ends. Power is not about movement toward. It is about mastery of. When you delete your goals, you cease being the pursuer and become the orchestrator. You no longer run after things. You make things revolve around you. This is not ambition. It is gravitational authority. You pull what you want not through effort, but through the silent force of control. To live in this way requires the death of attachment. You must abandon the addiction to outcomes, the emotional highs of achievement, and the false humility of failure. You must replace them with detachment, observation, and timing. When you no longer care about achieving something specific, you begin to sense openings that others miss. You stop forcing movement and start commanding flow. Those trapped in goals measure time by progress. Those who understand power measure it by opportunity. Time does not move against them. It moves for them. Every event becomes material to be shaped. Every obstacle becomes a lever. They do not dream of success. They position themselves where success becomes inevitable. Goals are promises made to yourself. Power is the art of keeping no promises, so you can fulfill every possibility. Desire is the first leash the world places around your neck. It whispers to you in the voice of longing, convincing you that what you do not have defines who you are. Desire builds illusions of lack and makes you chase shadows that disappear when reached. The more you desire, the less you command. The man consumed by wanting becomes transparent. His eyes reveal his hunger, his voice reveals his need, and his actions betray his dependence. The moment the world knows what you crave, it learns how to control you. Detachment is not the absence of passion. It is the mastery of it. It is the art of appearing unmoved while seeing everything. When you detach from desire, you no longer beg reality to satisfy you. You bend it to your will. The mind freed from craving becomes precise, sharp, and strategic. It does not waste energy on emotion, but converts it into influence. To detach is not to become numb, but to become sovereign. Emotion may exist, but it no longer rules you. It serves you, like a weapon you draw only when the strike is guaranteed. The masses live in cycles of wanting and disappointment. They are trained to believe that yearning equals purpose. Every advertisement, every motivational speech, every promise of happiness feeds the same weakness, the belief that fulfillment lies outside oneself. Such belief is profitable for others, but fatal for power. As long as you believe that something external can complete you, you remain incomplete by design. Detachment ends this cycle. When nothing owns your desire, nothing owns you. Power is the ability to make others move without moving yourself. To do this, you must see their desires clearly while concealing your own. People reveal everything through what they chase. Observe them, listen to what they speak of most, and you will know their strings. Then, while they run toward their illusions, you walk through their distractions untouched. Control comes from restraint. The one who can watch temptation pass without reaching, for it commands not only himself, but the situation around him. Desire makes people predictable. Show them a reward, and they will walk into any trap. Threaten their dream, and they will surrender their reason. The world is filled with men who have sold their clarity for comfort, their freedom for the fantasy of success. They think desire gives them direction, but it merely blinds them to manipulation. The detached mind sees the same reward, but feels no urgency. It studies the bait, the string, and the hand that holds it. It moves only when it chooses, not when it is lured. To detach from desire, one must first confront its root, fear. Every longing is born from the fear of lack, the fear of not having enough, not being enough, not becoming enough. These fears shape behavior and bind identity. The antidote is awareness without reaction. Watch the desire rise, acknowledge it, and let it burn out without feeding it. The more you practice this, the more power you collect. Each unacted impulse becomes stored strength, potential energy waiting to be used with intention. The detached person becomes unreadable. Their silence provokes curiosity. Their calm unsettles the emotional. When others panic, they remain still. When others beg, they negotiate. When others fight for validation, they observe the battlefield. Detachment grants control because it removes the need to prove, defend, or justify. Those enslaved by desire must explain themselves to the world. Those free from it are explained by the world itself. Detachment is also the death of dependency. Most people need validation to feel real. They need approval to feel worthy. They need possession to feel powerful. But every need is a confession of weakness. When you erase these needs, you become the one who validates, the one who defines worth, the one who grants meaning. You shift from consumer to creator, from follower to force. This transformation is invisible yet unmistakable. Others sense it without knowing why they respect you. To command your reality, you must first silence the noise within. Every desire screams for attention, dragging the mind outward. You cannot influence the external world while being pulled by internal chaos. Detachment gathers that energy inward until it becomes focus. When you no longer chase outcomes, your actions become deliberate, not desperate. Each move carries weight because it is not driven by impulse, but by timing. The detached person acts not to gain, but to position, not to express emotion, but to shape perception. There is a quiet authority in those who want nothing. They intimidate without effort because they cannot be bribed or threatened. You cannot control what does not crave. Their presence alone destabilizes the ambitious and the greedy. People will project mystery onto them, assuming depth where there is simply discipline. This perception itself becomes power. The more detached you are, the more the world fills your silence with meaning. Desire is the mind's rebellion against control. It demands attention, urging you to move faster, reach farther, and prove yourself louder. But control is never loud. It is deliberate and unseen. Those who desire loudly lose quietly. Those who detach quietly win loudly. They do not waste their strength on reaction. They let others exhaust themselves, chasing temporary pleasures, while they collect enduring influence. To command reality, you must learn to see every event as neutral until you define it. The detached person does not label things as wins or losses. They label them as opportunities. They do not ask, "Why did this happen to me?" but "How can this serve me?" This shift from emotion to strategy turns pain into information and loss into leverage. Reality bends to those who interpret it with authority. Detachment is not isolation. It is engagement without enslavement. You can love, build, compete, and create while remaining free of dependence. You participate in life as an actor, not as a captive. Your emotions serve your direction, not the other way around. The world will call you cold, but that is the vocabulary of the undisciplined. The truth is that calmness is the highest form of control. When you detach from desire, you stop asking the world for permission to feel complete. You become the source of your own gravity. Influence is not something that can be claimed with words or demanded through authority. It must be built slowly, deliberately, and silently. True power is never announced, it is felt. The mistake of the ordinary man is his hunger for recognition. He confuses visibility with strength and attention with control. He speaks of his plans, displays his status, and proclaims his influence before it exists. But the louder a person declares their power, the less of it they truly possess. Real influence grows in silence and is revealed only through the reactions of others. It does not seek the spotlight because it understands that shadows offer greater control. The foundation of influence begins with perception. To shape the world, you must first shape how the world perceives you. People do not respond to what you are. They respond to what they believe you are. Appearances are the architecture of influence, a calm face in chaos, an unshaken tone in argument, an unreadable expression when provoked. These are not signs of passivity, but instruments of psychological control. The one who remains composed when others are moved becomes the point of stability everyone unconsciously orbits. Influence is not gained through argument or persuasion, but through the quiet dominance of emotional control. Those who seek to influence must understand a simple truth. Humans crave leadership because they crave certainty. Most people live in confusion, enslaved by their emotions and doubts. The moment they sense someone who moves with clarity, they yield. Influence is built by embodying what others lack. If they are uncertain, be decisive. If they are fearful, be calm. If they are angry, be patient. This contrast establishes hierarchy without a word. Influence does not shout commands. It creates conditions where obedience feels natural. To build influence, one must first abandon the desire to be liked. Approval is the currency of the powerless. It is given by those who fear rejection and taken by those who understand control. When you depend on others to validate you, they sense it and subconsciously withhold what you seek. But when you withdraw your need for validation, you gain leverage. People are drawn to those who do not seek them because detachment is mistaken for superiority. Your lack of dependence becomes magnetic. Your silence makes others speak more. The less you reveal, the more they reveal to you. Influence grows through subtle manipulation of perception, not overt domination. When people believe they are acting on their own will while serving your design, you have achieved mastery. This is the highest form of control, to lead without appearing to lead. Influence is not about command but suggestion, not about force but gravity. When your ideas become the thoughts of others, when your presence reshapes their behavior without effort, then you have built something that cannot be taken away. Every word you speak either strengthens or weakens your influence. To speak too much is to dissolve mystery. To speak too little is to lose presence. The balance lies in measured expression. Say only what must be said and let silence fill the rest. Silence is not emptiness. It is space where others project meaning. They will interpret your restraint as wisdom, even if it is only strategy. Influence grows in the gaps between what you say and what they imagine you meant. The less you clarify, the more power your words gain. Influence also depends on observation. You cannot shape what you do not understand. The skilled influencer watches without announcing that they are watching. Every reaction, every hesitation, every inconsistency reveals a person's structure. Influence begins with seeing others more clearly than they see themselves. Once you know their patterns, you can predict their choices. Once you can predict their choices, you can direct them without their awareness. To influence is not to change people directly. It is to create the environment in which their own instincts guide them to your desired outcome. The weak try to influence through intimidation. The powerful influence through inevitability. When your words or presence make an outcome feel natural rather than forced, you are no longer competing for control. You are control. Influence at its peak becomes invisible. People obey not because they are told to, but because they cannot imagine another course. The world will call it charisma, leadership, or persuasion, but in truth it is architecture, the unseen design of human behavior. Influence is maintained by consistency of image. The slightest contradiction erodes trust, and once trust fractures, control weakens. You must build an identity that others can rely on, even if it is only a mask. The mask is not deceit, it is armor. You wear it to create stability in the perceptions of others. The world does not care for authenticity, it cares for reliability. If your presence always evokes the same response, People learn to depend on it. That dependence is influence. Patience is the material from which influence is carved. It is not built overnight, nor through a single gesture. It grows through repetition, observation, and strategic silence. Each interaction becomes a thread, each impression a knot. Over time, those threads form a web that holds others without their resistance. The impatient reveal their ambition too soon and lose the element of control. Influence requires restraint, the willingness to appear passive while quietly shaping outcomes. The moment others sense your intent, they resist it. The moment they think it was their idea, they defend it for you. The path to influence is the path of invisibility. You must be present enough to be felt, but distant enough to remain untouchable. You must allow others to believe in their autonomy while subtly steering their direction. You must act through others so that your will spreads even when your name is not spoken. This is why influence cannot be declared. Declarations end mystery. Mystery sustains power. Those who proclaim influence lose it. Those who embody it become it. Power does not emerge from ambition, but from awareness. The world worships goals, desires, and recognition. Yet each of these is a disguise for dependence. To seek a goal is to surrender your adaptability. To crave fulfillment is to reveal your weakness. To demand influence is to prove you have none. The path of control is a quieter one, rooted in detachment, shaped by perception, and sustained by composure. Those who master themselves no longer chase outcomes, they design them. They do not fight for approval or battle for dominance. They become the calm around which chaos organizes itself. Their silence directs louder than others' words. Their restraint commands more than others' demands. Power, in its purest form, is not about victory but authority over direction. It is not about having more, it is about needing less. When you stop chasing, you start drawing. When you stop declaring, you start defining. The world bends not to those who want it most, but to those who no longer need to want at all.